All right, let's talk about something we all feel, right? That deep, sometimes really draining feeling of caring way too much about what other people think. It's this thing that can totally hijack our energy, steer our decisions, and today we're going to pull back the curtain and see what's really going on behind the scenes.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Nobody ever sat you down and gave you a lesson on how to tune out the noise. It was always the opposite, wasn't it? Care about your grades, care about what the neighbors think, care about your reputation. We were literally trained to seek that approval, and now it feels like the switch is just stuck in the on position.
So, what gives? If pretty much everyone deals with this, why does it have such an iron grip on us? Why can't we just wake up one day and decide, you know what, I'm done caring? Well, that's the big question, and the answer, it turns out, has two really fascinating parts.
Okay, so let's get into part one. And the first thing you need to know is that this isn't some personal flaw. This isn't you being weak. Nope, this feeling is actually a feature, not a bug, baked right into your brain's ancient survival hardware. It goes way, way back.
It all boils down to this thing called the social threat response. See, for our ancestors, fitting in wasn't about being popular, it was about staying alive. Getting kicked out of the tribe was basically a death sentence. So your brain evolved this incredible alarm system that treats social rejection like getting a dirty look or being disapproved of, with the exact same panic as a physical threat. It's this primal amygdala hijack, and it's why that emotional sting literally feels like real physical pain.
And this is where it gets kind of wild. Our ancient brain wiring is now operating in a world it was never designed for. That life or death alarm system that was meant for, exile from the tribe is now going off because of a negative comment online. It's being triggered by not getting enough likes on a photo or being left out of a group chat. The brain's reaction is just completely out of proportion to the actual modern threat.
But look, that ancient wiring, that's only the hardware. It's just part of the story. So let's move on, because on top of that primal fear, society comes along and installs some very specific software.
This timeline just lays it all out so perfectly. It starts when we're kids, right? We figure out pretty fast that making our parents happy keeps us safe and gets us praise. Then that pattern just keeps going. In our teens, it's all about fitting in with our friends. As young adults, we're chasing that job title, that validation. And then, well, we're just trying to keep up a certain reputation. Every single stage of life teaches us the same lesson over and over. Approval means you're safe.
So what happens when you layer all that conditioning on top of that ancient wiring for years and years? You get this: an invisible program, a subconscious code that's just running in the background of your life 24/7. It's quietly shaping your decisions, fueling your anxieties, always scanning the horizon for that external thumbs up, and you don't even know it's happening.
Okay, so we've looked at the ancient brain and the social programming, and honestly, it can feel a little hopeless, like you're caught in a machine you can't control. But this is the pivot. This is where we stop talking about the problem and start looking at the solution. So how do you actually start to take back the controls?
Now, the secret here isn't to try and fight this feeling head-on. It's about changing your relationship with it. And you do that with these 3 shifts. First, you just acknowledge the wiring. The next time you feel that sting of criticism, you can just go, ah, there it is. That's not me being weak. That's just my ancient survival program firing up. Second, you identify the program. You start asking questions. Hang on, whose approval am I actually trying to get right now, and why do I think I need it? And then, number 3, and this one is the real game changer, you define your own metrics. You consciously decide to shift your focus from what they think to what you value. You become the source of your own validation.
And that brings us to the final thought here. Once you see the machinery, once you understand how this whole thing works, you get a new kind of power. You might not be able to delete the old programming, but you can absolutely start writing some new code.
And this is everything right here. Just knowing this stuff, understanding the psychology, seeing the old wiring and the social conditioning for what they are, that alone is the most important step. That knowledge is what gives you the power to choose a different path, to actually start writing your own story.
So, we're going to leave you with this question to chew on. You've just been shown the invisible code that might have been running your life. So the only real question left is, what are you going to write next?